Hey everybody, Dan Holstein coming to you from the Scaling Up Conference in Atlanta, Scaling Up Summit. I'm here with Coach Karie Kaufmann. Karie, how's it going?
Dan.
You know, we're at this conference for a lot of reasons, to learn and to grow and also to become, right? So part of the reason for here is that identity growth. And we were just talking about baselining and identifying what that means to grow our identity. So what's your interpretation of growing an identity?
Growing an identity is thinking about the person that you need to become to achieve the results that you want to achieve. Perhaps you have experience, or maybe have a friend who's experienced where they maybe get in their own way. Like they have big goals, but they're not there yet. They don't have the identity to match where they're going, and we find a way to sabotage or kind of screw it up where you find yourself hitting a ceiling, and it's because you don't have the identity yet to achieve what you want to achieve. Right? Have you seen business owners who have had to really shift how they see themselves and their identity in order to achieve a result?
Yeah, business owners, just people I know personally as well, and myself as well for things. I can think of one individual where in his business, he's very kind of hands-on, blue-collar kind of business owner, amazing guy, super intelligent, and he's actually now talking with other business owners that are looking to maybe buy his business. These guys at these large multinational companies are talking to this guy, and he's running a small business of about 10 staff, and he's saying, hey, why are these guys talking to me? They're talking to me as a peer. I look at them as they're sort of a peer, as someone that I look after. So they're seeing him as a peer, because he really is. He's a really savvy guy, but he's come from some humble roots, and he's just a really humble guy. He doesn't see himself as like a bit of a big deal. Yeah. But the people that he's communicating with in business do see him on their level, that executive, that successful level. So his identity is, I'm maybe a little more basic in my business acumen, but they see him as actually quite accomplished.
How would you coach somebody like that to continue to grow? Because sooner or later, if you kind of see yourself as, oh, this is who I am, right? This is what I'm about. And maybe your vision conflicts with that.
The first thing I would address on that is, why are you thinking you are the way you are? What inputs are leading you to believe this is true for you? And then if we go into define a belief, beliefs can change. It's something we hold to be true at the moment. Yeah. And I would challenge that. I would then maybe shine the light on some other evidence that they may not be willing to notice of how they actually are growing their identity.
I heard a quote, I don't remember who said it, but a while back that said a belief's only job is to validate its existence, right? So once you believe something, you're constantly looking for proof to validate what you've already chosen to be true. So we tend to ignore things that would disprove our belief because we've already locked it in.
It's like confirmation bias, constantly confirming your bias of what you believe, right?
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes from Jim Rohn is when he said, set a goal to become a millionaire for what it will make of you to achieve it. Right, because that comes down to identity, like the person that you have to become in order to be that kind of leader, be that kind of visionary, be that kind of, have that business savvy and that acumen, or whatever other skills come along with it, is you have to become that person to achieve that kind of result. Right,
so we think about who do we need to become. We have to be aware of our environment as well. One of the things that Jim Rohn says, he's a guy that I just love his teachings. Yeah. Sometimes we have to have expanded association, and sometimes we have to have limited association. So expanded association being hanging out more with the people like that we want to become like. Yeah. Limited association is, limiting the amount of association and hanging out with people that maybe aren't on the same growth journey, or don't believe in us, or don't support us, or maybe even actively pull us down from the goals and dreams that we're trying to accomplish.
I think there's a handful of things. We talk about environment. Associations are a huge part of that. Right? So you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But there's a few other things, like some other things that you can do to have your impact have a more positive more positive impact on your identity. Like what are some of the other things that you do besides associations?
I would say even just writing out my goals, knowing where I'm going, and
clarity.
Yeah, absolutely, clarity. But then the how process as well, making sure that it's not just pie in the sky that I'm going to do this or I'm going to become this. I need some level of a framework to tell me how I'm going to do that. Yeah. So I can sense progress. For me personally, if I'm not feeling like I'm moving forward, that's a little bit discouraging. So I want to make sure I've got measurement, so I can see the incremental little changes day by day or week by week that I'm actually becoming closer to where I want to be. If that's in terms of my identity or what I'm setting out to accomplish.
Something that I do for myself regularly, and I challenge my clients to do at least a couple of times a year, is a process I call a mental cleanse. I used to call it a mental diet, but much like a food diet, like it's about restricting, right? Whereas a cleanse isn't just about like not eating the junk food, it's about like also eating the kale. It's not just about what you leave out, it's about what you put in. So a mental cleanse for me looks like usually maybe 30 days. Could be one day, could be a week, a year, it doesn't matter. But for a defined period of time that I predetermine, I won't read, watch, or listen to, or discuss anything that doesn't either educate me or inspire me. Even neutral stuff, just music, nice things on the radio, whatever movie, all of that's cut out. If it's not 100% healthy for my mindset, it doesn't get to go in.
So it takes some level of planning to make sure that happens?
It does, yeah, absolutely. I do plan for it. I'll queue up audiobooks or podcasts, or if it is music, then it's intentionally cultivated as music that inspires me or lifts me up. Every single time I've done it, like, you come out the end of it a different person. You know, I grow, my business grows, your whole outlook grows, your positivity, it's really huge for an identity shift.
What I feel is if I'm being more disciplined, I feel better about myself. I'm not maybe let myself down or off the hook on certain things. Yeah. And that has an additive component to it.
I think that's a multiplying effect. Because the content, whatever you're reading, watching, or listening to alone builds you up, makes you stronger, shifts your perspective on top of the compounded of like doing what you say you're going to do and following through, right? So I think it's both. We've talked about, environment, associations, intake. I think another big one is what you say when you talk to yourself, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. If we think about self-talk for a second, how often are your comments generally positive versus generally negative?
About yourself?
About yourself. Just about yourself. Oh, I can't, I'm good enough, not good enough, smart enough, whatever you want to say. Or when you're thinking about what's possible, do you lift yourself up, or is it more of a diminishing thought? Well, think about some of the things you tell yourself. Would you hang out with somebody that sat and told you those things?
Or would you ever say it to another human being?
Right.
Of course you wouldn't, because it's so terrible and mean. But yet you might say it to yourself all day long.
Yeah. So I think the other part is we've got to be kind and patient with ourselves as we're growing.
Yeah.
That we don't dismiss the negative thoughts immediately. It's like we have to question it a little bit and then think to ourselves, would I say that to an 8-year-old kid?
Right.
And then treat ourselves with that kindness and respect you treat a young kid. Because it's a mind that's moldable. Yeah. And if we think about the language we use, it's programming of our brain. And if we say something in our head enough, pretty soon those thoughts can be beliefs, which can root themselves very rigidly. What are some of the things that you've seen with your clients in terms of the self-talk? Is there any specifics or affirmations or methods of reaffirming positive things that you've seen them do that have made some positive shifts for them?
A lot of coaches talk a lot about affirmations, which I think are very powerful, but only if done right.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
the key to an affirmation in your self-talk in general is it has to be anchored in emotion, right? So visualization along with it. And then catching yourself being the person that you want to be. So if you say, you're staring in the mirror every morning and say nice things about yourself and about what a great leader you are, and then you stop and you have that intentional conversation with one of your employees, that when you walk away, you're like, yeah, I'm a good leader, right? You're constantly reaffirming that when it's anchored to an emotion and in a moment. It's not just a thing that you read, when you wake up in the morning and, a mantra that you... It's got to be something that is peppered throughout your entire day and brings an awareness to it. And then you catch yourself when you're not being kind to yourself or you're not serving yourself well. You heightens your awareness so you can change.
Absolutely. And a technique that I've had clients use is where they track their positive things that are happening throughout the day, throughout the week, so they can refer back and say, hey, actually, I am growing myself. Look, I did do that. I did handle that conflict effectively. I did make that phone call I was nervous about making work. Yeah, just to make sure that we're actually documenting it, because I find that most entrepreneurs, it's go, 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 hit a goal, don't even stop, look back, just go for the next one, as opposed to actually stop for a second and say, look what I've actually accomplished. And not just accomplished, look who I'm becoming through the accomplishment.
We always are looking at what's next, right? So we don't stop and acknowledge the progress that we have made. We only see the list of things that are undone, or the distance between what we're not yet or what we've not yet achieved. It can be healthy because it can be what drives you, but if you're not careful about it, it can also really hold you back.
It can be depressing. It's like, you achieve something fantastic and you don't stop and sort of luxuriate in that win. It's on to the next thing. We get programmed that success is a never-ending series of hard work.
Yep.
And we don't take the time to actually enjoy it.
Gotta celebrate. Should we go celebrate now?
Let's go celebrate now. Okay, awesome. Let's do that. So, thanks so much. I really appreciate your insights.
Thanks, Dan.
Awesome to hang.
Super fun.
And so, if we'd love to hear about how you're growing your identity, leave a comment below. Feel free to reach out, and we look forward to hearing from you. All the best.